we're just so honored that you're here, and we want you to mingle and connect. You're all incredible beings, and there's a lot that we can do here with this network, so I really hope that you guys will get to know each other. In your cultures or in your communities or in your life, how were women perceived, how are women perceived, and if you have an experience as well where you felt like, what a powerful moment, I'll open it up for us to start having that conversation.
I'm just thinking of my mother, and when my mother was a young mother growing up, she had 4 kids right in a row, married at 22. She was not even allowed to buy the encyclopedias, and it sits with me, and her telling that story. And they're like, well, when your husband gets home, could we please, and you know, she's birthing the children, raising the children, I mean, responsible for everything. And I just think it's such a powerful point in time. And then fast forward to today, and I won't get political, but to see women's rights being taken away, for me personally, it just causes my heart to pound, because our mothers, all the women before us, worked so hard for, you know, Matt, I'm not calling you if I need to buy some encyclopedias, you know, we work so hard to be where we are, and then to see some of the conversations happening right now, just like,
Rips your heart out.
yeah. And I feel bad for my mother, you know, like they really carried the, and we're just like sitting here watching it just slide through our fingers.
So for me, I saw women to be so powerful, and I always thought, what a gift to be able to have all of that wisdom and to be able to constantly teach and share, because that in itself is power. So that is what I recall growing up.
And even today, you know, I'm in a profession where there are very few women. I'm in finance litigation, so I can tell you there were more women when I started out, but as we go along, women tend to drop out. And it's not just because we raise families, it's because we're not treated with equality, and it gets tiring.
This way that we're expected, what we're expected of, how we're dismissed, it's so built in, and it's really hurting us all. And we're the legacy breakers. You're not living your mother's story, and we're living an entirely different story right now. We wouldn't have been able to buy encyclopedias. We wouldn't have been able to sit at this table without permission. There's so many things that I now am recognizing I've taken for granted.
So for me, when I'm sitting at this table, the only thing I see are a bunch of queens sitting at this table who should be honored, respected, and given everything that they need to become all that they need to become, because we are nothing without you.
I like power in women. I think it's better that way. I think it's you know, it should be equitable. It should be, you know, part of the mix. Like, it can't just, you know, to see one group oppressing another, one group kind of disregarding another. It takes a little bit of the color out of life.
Yes.
My mother was a huge influence on me and what I care about. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about what I care about. It all came from my mom. And she grew up in that, you know, environment where, you know, it wasn't quite as bad as buying the encyclopedias, but you know, it was very different, of course. And she was not, she probably was angry about it, but she didn't express anger about it. She just persisted. She just persisted. She was a professional. She was a teacher. She did what she cared about. And a lot of it had to do with caring for the world and giving, you know, thank you again. And that had a very profound influence on me.
Without women, we are nothing, and our children are even more of nothing without us being their best friend and guiding them through life in the most proper fashion that we can. Never, ever, ever let anyone in your family know that you are upset with them. You tell that to the wind when they're not around. You tell them when you're upset with them that you love, support, honor, and trust them all the time. They will always be your family, and they will always have the success that you truly wish for them in life. As long as you keep that negative attribute out of it and you be the one to help guide them.
And having daughters in this day and age is very difficult.
So you're dealing with estrogen.
We're dealing with a lot. We're dealing with a lot. And I think, so I come from, on my mom's side, a lot of generational trauma. And I think one of the things that I am trying to do is sort that out on my own so that I don't continue to pass that along to them. Because I do want them to have a voice, I do want them to be empowered, I do want them to go into the world knowing that they're capable of anything and that we are not, yes, we are our parents and our grandparents and we're not, right? Yeah. There's that duality as well. And for them to have the space to create a new life for them. So that's one thing. And then I also, I'm a registered dietitian. I work in the eating disorder space. And it's not primarily, I don't only see women, but primarily I do. And there's a lot of trauma in the people who I work with, and I feel so honored to be on the journey with them. And a lot of the work that we do is very therapeutic in helping them find their voice and helping them find ways to be in this world that are beyond their external physicality. And so that's the work that I do, and I think that that is very important for women, anyone struggling, but it is certainly something I'm trying to do to help empower women.
Empowering women, and always have been. Some of the more like acute things I've done is like the student who we were just talking about. I built a program some years ago where I used to take young women from Marin City, Richmond, and Oakland to Kenya and Tanzania. And it was particularly focused on African American girls who just are even more marginalized. There's an extra layer of everything we're talking about, of oppression. And so the program was focused on this idea of like you're the center of your community, and the curriculum took a cross conversation between the African girls at the boarding school that we stayed at and the young women that we brought, including Ayana. She was one of the first. Daraja. We went to Daraja Academy. We also went to Sega in Tanzania. And the conversation allowed them to, it really fostered them empowering each other through the conversation. How, this idea that we are the center of all of our communities. And statistically, it's an old reference, but Half the Sky, if anybody read that book, that statistically, if you give women money in any community, the community grows because we birth the children, so we raise schools and commerce. If you give it to men, alcohol sales go up. Sorry guys, but that's statistically proven.
Everywhere too.
Everywhere in the world. And so, but I felt like when a lot of the work I do, it's not something I knew about myself as a young woman.
Like elevating that, like about like the small things. Paul and I have done a couple presentations to students over the last couple weeks, and our message was around like them not being necessarily the person at the forefront. Like they don't have to be the person that is leading the protests or organizing or the CEO of the company, but just how do you support the work that's being done? And so everyone doesn't have to be like the big names that we hear in the media. There's all these people around them that's working to make sure that those people, the work is done. And I think a big piece I would be remiss without saying is that the resistance, particularly of African American women in this country, is so important. Like the fact that, all the things that, in the diaspora, but like, particularly, the going through slavery and Jim Crow.
Very special woman who has been a powerful force for our community here in Tiburon. She has been able to get doors opened for us. She's been able to share her wisdom, her intellect, her amazing style. Does anyone know who I'm talking about yet?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just very, very grateful for you, Deanne, and I am rooting for you in your next venture. So Deanne was the head of our chamber here in Tiburon. And I just want to take the moment. Thank you for coming, first of all. And thank you for everything that you've done for us as YEMA, the brand, as Howie and YEMA. And also thank you for the Tiburon community, and thank you for always just being willing to step into every role. I could text Deanne at 2 in the morning, and believe me, I will get a text back that says, "Oh yeah, Howie, I'm looking into that for you, no problem." So I'm just very grateful for all your efforts, and we have a very special thing for you, something very small, but something that we think might go with your style. Yeah, you can definitely look. And it was made by, and we do not design that particular piece, but if you open it, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. It is designed by a very special artist who traveled around Africa and wanted to. Yeah, absolutely. It's a silk scarf, so it goes with definitely with your style and aesthetic. And it's very beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
And it has African families with their traditional attires from all over Africa. So we've got the Ethiopians with their, that's what we call Habesha kamis, right, with the elet. And you've got the Eritrean, you've got the Nigerian, the Kenyan with the shield. Kenyans are very well known for their shield, right? You've got the Ghanaians here, and it also has all of the African, or some of the African flags around the center, and I mean the edges, and people use it as, you know, it's a scarf, so you can wear it as a scarf.
Ready.
I have friends that have framed it and used it as an art piece in their home. So it's very, very special. And the little thing will tell you everything about Afor Tekle. He's an inspiration for us. And you're going to stay here, so
Yes.
so it's not a
Right up the
goodbye.
road.
Yes,
Just up the road.
but I'm just very grateful for you, and I wanted to take this moment to honor a very powerful woman.
Yeah.
And with that, you can go home and get some sleep.